We are live. Good Sunday evening, folks. Welcome to Saving Money Unapologetically with your host, PG. That is me. Hope you're all doing well out there in YouTube land. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to all of my loyal subscribers and to the folks. Welcome to the folks who may happen in or may tune in at a later date. Thank you. As you can see on the screen, folks, the title of this vlog or podcast for today is Affordable Prepping Supplies. We want to talk about affordable prepping supplies for the simple reason we all need to try and safeguard as best as we can for increased pricing moving forward in the coming months. As time rolls on, there are going to be price increases across the board for normal everyday food items to perhaps gasoline, to perhaps cars, parts, automotive accessories, and things that you may need. Also, if, for instance, the grid itself goes down, or there's a natural disaster or a man-made disaster that sometimes may happen or may come up in the near future, you want to be prepared as you possibly can for you and or your loved ones and your family. If you live alone or whatever, then you still need to have some things on hand, some everyday ordinary items that may not be readily accessible to you when and if a disaster occurs, or a spur of the moment, or a shit hit the fan kind of sort of activity comes into play. So all I'm doing is letting you guys and gals, boys and girls, know that let's take a look and see what we have on hand already, what we can pull from, what's already in our cupboards or in our pantries, in our desk drawers, in our storage compartments tucked away. Let's see what we already have that is available to us and move forward by adding on certain items. For instance, it's pretty easy to go over to what I call the 5-quarter store. Now will be 6 or 7 quarters, which is Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Family Dollar, wherever, or even actually going to estate sales and garage sales, because that's going to be kicking off because spring is already up on us. And a lot of times people will be getting rid of, kind of cleaning out or decluttering, and they may have an abundance of certain things that they want to kind of just get rid of because it may be too much for them. Maybe they are becoming empty nesters. Maybe the kids have grown up and left the nest. Maybe they are off in college, or maybe they're graduating this year. So there's some items that they may no longer need to stockpile or have on hand, and they want to kind of like just make a few bucks and put it in a garage sale. Sometimes in the springtime, neighborhoods or different parishes and or townships and communities, as well as counties, may have yard sales or large sales that may encompass whole neighborhoods or whole subdivisions, may have an annual or biannual sale. So definitely don't overlook that as well if you're planning on picking up some necessary items that you and or your family may need going forward to build your kit, or to build your prepping supplies, or to build your disaster kits, or whatever you want to call it. That's certainly up to you. You'll definitely need some type of way to store those supplies, such as maybe small plastic bins or plastic containers, maybe a duffel bag, maybe a very large backpack, something that you can put some of these items in and grab that, or be able to go to it out in your garage or in your coat closet or the hall closet or wherever you want to store these items. Then the whole family or you yourself and a friend or whomever will know where those items are safely kept. And if anything should occur, you're able to walk over or grab those items and open that up and be able to use out of whatever you have in your kit. Certain kits and certain prepping supplies will differ from house to house, apartment to apartment, condo to condo, Mac mansion, mini mansions, mansions, or whatever you live in, a tent, a bus, a mini house, um, cardboard box, whatever. I'm just being realistic. Your car, your truck, your van, whatever. What I may prep or what I may stockpile or um, purchase more of, you may not need to do that because that may be something or items that you wouldn't particularly use. We do rely on our cell phones a lot these days, and there are extra little things that are equipped or come standard to a cell phone, such as a flashlight. However, if you need to conserve power for that phone and you don't have a battery bank or a battery pack that is an auxiliary charger, then you will need to conserve power. So turning on that flashlight will use up some of the juice on the cell phone. So you will need some type of light, whether it be a glow stick that you can put in the backpack or your kit, or a couple of those for safekeeping, whether it be a solar powered little lantern that you can get from the dollar store that you pick up. You can place it outside and back of your patio or on the sidewalk by your house or what have you. And then don't hesitate to go out if something happens. There's no power, the grid goes down or whatever. Go pull that up out of the flower beds, bring it inside, put a little dirt in it or whatever you need to prop it up, and you will certainly have light in the evening as the sun sets or goes down and it begins to become really dark inside of your dwelling. You will definitely want to keep things of that on hand. Make sure that it's dry, make sure that it's not, broken. Check, every few months or whatever your supplies, see where you are. If you've had to use some for certain instances that perhaps popped up, then you want to be able to replace those items or have some extra ones on hand. Matches, something to build a fire with, something to maybe perhaps light an actual real candle. Matches are good, whether it's strike anywhere matches or just regular strike on the box matches. At least have a pack of matches available. Also, utility lighters, which are the little long handle lighters that we use for our barbecue grills and fireplaces and what have you. Those work really well. Also, disposable, just regular old Bic or generic lighters that come 2 in a pack, 3 in a pack, or whatever. A lot of times we can pick those up, at your local gas stations, at your local convenience stores. Even the dollar stores have those. Kroger's has those. Winn-Dixie, Publix, all of your, major supermarkets will tend to carry those. Tea light candles. Tea light candles can be used in many different ways, folks. So don't sleep on those. A lot of times you can get like a 10 pack or a 12 pack if that's all you need from the Dollar Tree or from the nearest dollar store, Michael's, Hobby Lobby. Those type places also sell them. Walmart, Targets, Amazon, wherever you choose to shop. I mean, whether you're doing the boycotting or whatever it is you're doing, it's an individual thing. Not everyone will boycott at the same time, perhaps, and not everyone will boycott at all for certain companies. That's your choice, your opinion, and hey, you spend your dollars where you choose. I really don't have much to say about that. I'm going to do what I do and spend my dollars where I want to spend them. And where I don't want to spend them, I won't. With that being said, moving right along, folks, swiftly and professionally. Again, the tea lights, also maybe a small pack of candles, maybe just 2 or 3, whatever. Even if you go to perhaps a garage sale and they're getting rid of some candles, a lot of times people will dump those in a freebie box or a freebie bin, and you can pick and choose. Grab a couple of them, store them in the refrigerator. You don't want to keep them in a hot place or somewhere that's near a window where the sun could potentially melt the wax from the candles, and you're not able to use it in the event of an emergency. So just be aware of that. Batteries, for remotes, for charging devices, for an auxiliary radio, um, double A's, triple A's, C's, and D's. Also, your flat little button style size batteries. Those are handy because a lot of devices these days take batteries still to this day. Some devices, of course, we charge via the wall or electricity, but other devices have alternative measures. They may have a USB or USB-C charging port on it where you can plug it in. But if you have no electricity, it may offer a secondary way to actually have power to that device by using a type of battery. So assess what it is that you have that you would need to use in the event of an emergency, and definitely you want to have some extra batteries that fit those particular appliances. Bleach can be used in many different ways, especially to disinfect, to keep down germs, or to keep a lot of germs from spreading from place to place. So at least 1 gallon of bleach per household would be something that most people should keep, even a half a gallon. Preferably the non-added scent, such as lemon or lavender scented bleach or whatever, just plain chlorine bleach without any scented additives to it. Because if you had to use a couple of capfuls of bleach in water to try and purify some water, then definitely you don't want the added chemical of a fragrance being in that, because it can mess with the digestive system. So definitely you want to have at least a gallon of bleach on hand at all times, for in the event you do need to sanitize quickly, or you do need some extra sanitization, then you will be able to grab the bleach and dilute it with water, and move forward in whatever sanitization that you need to do. um, Water filter straws. If you have a family, I personally would get a water filter straw for every individual in my family that lived in my particular household. Because in the event, if power goes out and goes out for a number of days, then that means you will not have necessarily clean drinking water. So, at least with a water filtration straw, you can filter a lot of the elements that's in the water. If you had to drink from, say, a pond, or if you had to drink from some stagnant water supply, then you would at least be able to use the straw to help to keep down the germs from getting ingested by you. Garbage bags. We can use garbage bags in many ways. We can use it for temporary shelter. We can maybe cut a hole in the top and make like a poncho if it's raining or something. We can store items that are wet. We can move things in garbage bags if we had to, and that's all that we had. Then we can throw some clothes in a garbage bag tied up and swing it over our shoulder and carry that around, or whatever you need to do. So definitely the Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, Dollar General are some good places. Even Amazon and other stores, who from time to time, Walmart's also, will have trash bags on sale. Trash bags are one of the items that have gone up in price a lot in the last year to 2 years. So definitely when you see those on sale, or when you can find them at a very good price, then I would suggest to you to at least grab another extra box or a bag of those, or a ream of those, or however they come. Not all the time will you need to purchase several hundred bags, for your household or your situation, but at least have at least a extra box or extra roll of garbage bags on hand, even if it's bags that you wouldn't normally buy. For instance, some people wouldn't normally buy a 33-gallon size trash bags, but if you can get 40 to 60 of those for a decent price, then definitely it would behoove you to spend the money and have those on hand, because you never know. You can split them up. You can lay them down on a wet ground for ground cover, and then put a blanket on top of that, and you won't be soaking wet. There's a lot that you can do with those. Um, Folks, even a 5-gallon bucket and a cheap mop bucket, an empty 5-gallon bucket from Home Depot or Lowe's or Harbor Freight, or go to maybe a large grocery chain of stores to their bakery department. A lot of times they will give you a 5-gallon bucket if you ask at their counter, especially if they're just going to throw them away. A lot of times they will get icing for the bakery. They may get shortening or lard or whatever in those style or size containers, and they pop the top, they empty it out, and then basically they were just going to walk out to the dumpster or to their recycling bin outside of the store or whatever and throw those away. It doesn't hurt to ask before you go out and pay $3 to $5 to $7 for a 5-gallon bucket. Perhaps you can get them for absolutely free. You only need a couple of them. And what I mean by that is a 5-gallon bucket can be used to carry things, tools, in. If you had, to have a hammer, or you needed to carry, a couple of screwdrivers, maybe a wrench or whatever across the yard or whatever it is, you can gather those items, throw them in the bucket, walk across with it, or get help to tote that, or take turns toting it, if you had to go a couple of blocks down the street or across a open field or some terrain or whatever. That's a good way in order to be able to move several items at one time. A cheap mop bucket is a way that you can pack water. Say, for instance, you found water and you have a water key, and you had to walk a couple of blocks to a school, and there's water, but it's turned off with the water key, and you have one, and you can turn that water on, and you need to get a couple of buckets of water for you and your family. You would be able to tote that water in a small mop bucket or a 5-gallon bucket if you had an extra one. But if you get those two items, or at least one of the two, one or the other, a 5-gallon or a regular mop bucket from, say, Dollar Tree for $1.50 or $1.75, whatever it might cost today, you would be able to do just that, but also mark it to where no one will put anything in that. It's just for water purposes or whatever. A first aid kit, folks. Definitely in the picture, you see probably some over-the-counter medications. There's some pill minders, some Hall's cough drops, quite a number of things in the picture. Some nighttime sleep medication, some Aleve, Advil, and all of that. There's other things that you may want to incorporate in a first aid kit, such as bandages, maybe a roll of gauze, maybe a roll of paper tape to wrap the bandage around your arm or your leg or whatever it is that you need. Definitely you want to have a way to, with the band-aids, you want to have an extra or an alternative way to actually wrap a bandage, or to tie off a bandage, whether that be with paracord, whether it be with a little rope, whether it be with string, whatever it is you can think of to use at the time to get by in an emergency situation. Have a couple of those items also on hand in your first aid kit or in your pack, already ready to go, besides having your over-the-counter meds, and also a good amount of your prescription meds. Every month, if you're on a monthly basis or a 90-day supply of medications that you take on a regular daily basis, then I would suggest to you to take 2 or 3 out of every time you get a new supply in, and mark that in something, or a pill minder, and mark it to know what it is, so that you'll have some extras. Because if in the event you can't get to the pharmacy, or the stores are closed, or the pharmacies are closed for an extended period of time, a week or two or whatever, you still have medication or life-saving or sustaining medications that you are normally used to taking, then you won't withdraw from those medicines, and your body won't have to go without those medications. Now, hey, if those medications are 6 months or a year old, it will still have some effect, yes, but it may not be as strong as, something that's fresh that you had just got refilled from the pharmacy. But it would at least keep you from perhaps having a stroke if it's hypertension that you're taking that kind of medicine, or heart medication, or different things of that nature, your diabetes medication. It would at least keep things on a level basis to where you wouldn't necessarily go into an emergency situation. You would still be able to kind of maintain yourself and your health. You want to have some type of antibacterial ointment like Neosporin, or the off-brand that they sell at Dollar Tree, at Walmart, at the nearest supermarket. They'll have their brand. Walgreens has some. CVS has their brand. As long as it is an antibacterial ointment, put it in your first aid box or kit or pack, and make sure you have that available. Basic tools such as at least a knife, something to cut with. If you had to cut paracord, or if you had to cut some rope, or if you had to cut open a bag, or you had to cut open a piece of fabric or something to make a splint, or to tie off a tourniquet to make one, or whatever. Have something besides a pair of scissors. Have at least a cutting tool, such as a pocket knife, or a utility knife, or a utility blade knife. Definitely you want to have a screwdriver. If you don't want to have several different screwdrivers, then get a screwdriver that has multiple little bits, that has Phillips head and flat head, and maybe Torx heads for the screws. Because if you had to do some equipment maintenance on your vehicle, or say you needed to do something to maybe fix the door lock that has come off or whatever in an emergency situation, then you have something to work with. It may not be a drill, but you could at least turn that screwdriver and at least get that screw tight, or put a screw in something to hold in place temporary. Maybe a small little tree saw, or a small little hand saw, something else to cut if you had to cut a few tree branches to make some kindling wood, or to make a fire. Have a couple of these items on hand. You can throw that in your 5-gallon bucket, or you can throw that in a rucksack or in a duffel bag, and just know that it is there. Make sure that you have a flashlight, an individual flashlight, at least one per household, preferably a couple of them, because if one goes down, then you can just drop that, put that down, and pick up another one, and know that it's going to work. Besides maybe rummaging through to find the batteries for it or whatever. Have those items on hand. Bungee cords, zip ties, maybe some duct tape, maybe some masking tape, electrical tape. If you had to tape together a couple of wires, something came loose on your vehicle. Maybe you sprung a leak in a hose or something under the sink or whatever. You could at least use some duct tape around maybe the hole that has sprung, and be able to at least, now it may drip water, but it may not flow like a fountain, once you put enough tape around that. And you would be able to use that appliance, or use that temporary, to do what you need to do to get out of a crisis situation or an emergency situation. Those are some of the affordable prepping supplies that won't break the bank, folks. Make sure if you're going to get some batteries, I like Duracell, but other batteries will work. They may not last as long, but they will work. Just be mindful of that as far as off-brand, batteries. The Sunbeam batteries that I used to be able to get at the Dollar Tree over the years would last quite a long time. And they don't sell those anymore, not to my knowledge. I haven't seen them in a few years, But when they were available, I would not hesitate to buy them, and I did for many years. Um, to test items that I was going to resell or put on an auction or whatever, to test those electronics that needed batteries, I would, and they worked just fine. So just be aware of, when you buy an off-brand battery or a battery that you're unfamiliar with as far as the brand, then make certain that you are rotating those out, like in your remote controls and different things, so that you always have some fresh on hand. I've gone over pretty much, folks, everything that I wanted to talk about. Also, as you can see in the picture that I am showing, I did show, tried to find some things. Definitely you want to water and food. You definitely want to have some extra of that on hand at all times. There's a a loaf pan in the upper corner of the screen. As you can see, that loaf pan, if you needed to boil some water quickly, you could take a couple of the tea light candles, take your oven rack out of the oven, and maybe a brick or two out of your flower bed or whatever, however you needed to do it. Come inside, plop that down on the counter or whatever, and pour some water out that bottle into that pan. And yes, it's going to take you a little while, but it will get hot. You can maybe put some ramen noodles in there, or you want to make some hot coffee or some hot tea or whatever. You would have enough to make a couple cups of whatever. I'm just saying. The matches you can see in the picture, we talked about the cigarette lighter. We talked about a cutting tool that you see next to the water, paracord or rope, because you never know if you have to bundle up something or tie off some twigs or branches, or maybe hoist up something into a tree to keep it from getting wet, or to keep it off of the ground for bugs or ants or whatever. Then paracord and rope would come in handy. Definitely, if you're in a situation where maybe trash, the recycle and the trash company isn't running, the garbage company isn't running and picking up your weekly trash pickup, then at least you have some extra garbage bags that you could tie up and maybe burn, the waste like that, or at least store that at the back of your property or whatever, or maybe you could haul it to an area that has been designated, hearing on a radio if you have communication, where you can at least bring the trash or whatever. It's a lot that you can do, like I said, folks, with a trash bag. Also, like the Dollar Tree, Dollar General, they sell some cheap knives, like kitchen knives or whatever. You just want to be able to cut something. Even if you had to cut that paracord with, or some rope with a knife, you'd be able to do that. You'd be able to get the job done. How long it's going to stay sharp, I couldn't tell you. But how often you use it is going to actually, then dull it down. So it just depends. If you're going to use it once or twice a week for a few weeks that you needed to, it should, last you a couple of months at least without having to sharpen it. Towards the bottom, there's a little bit of food items, and also some Ziploc bags. Ziploc bags come in handy to keep things dry. If you have documents, your passports, your licenses, or things, you want to try to make sure that you keep up with that. You can put those things in a Ziploc bag, then fold that up and put it in a backpack, or put it on person, in a pocket, or in a purse, or a small duffel bag, a small carry bag, whatever, a fanny pack if need be. But at least you're protecting those items from the elements as well. Here again, I'm showing some Scripto brand lighters. Scripto is a brand. Some people like Bic, some people like Zippo. A lighter is a lighter as long as it gets the job done and is able to ignite something or light something. You're good to go. Paracord, tape, like I said, duct tape, rope, things of that nature. Something to actually tie off, or something to actually bundle something together if need be, to carry and to do other things with. As you can see in the picture, the duct tape. This is not duct brand duct tape. but it would get the job done. You might have to use a little bit more of it. I don't know the stickiness, factor of it. But in a pinch or in a bind or in an emergency situation, it will get you through. We talked about building a first aid kit or maybe buying a first aid kit. In some first aid kits, it's not going to have a lot of items. If it's a very small kit, then you'll have a few band-aids, maybe a couple little squeeze tubes of ointment, and maybe a little pack or two of a little square piece of maybe 2x2 or 3x3 gauze, and that's pretty much it. You can build on to that kit, if need be. In the background, you can see there's some tape, there's some gauze, perhaps some rubber gloves. There's some toe bandages back there. Inside of the kit that's being shown, it looks like it has some alcohol pads as well. If you don't have a way to get the pads, or the pads are costly, then get you just a regular 70% isopropyl alcohol bottle, or get you a couple of those. Also, maybe one bottle of peroxide. Keep that on hand as well. You can disinfect with peroxide if need be as well. In this picture, we have a number of things. We have some food items kind of mixed in. We have some Bounty napkins. We have some disinfectant bleach. We have some Excedrin down there. We got some Tylenol, some lard. If you want to cook outdoors, and fry something, say you have a cast iron pot or a big metal pot, and you had to build a fire or whatever over open flame, lard is really good to use in that type of situation. Again, bleach, just your regular plain gallon bleach, unscented, is perfect for disinfecting and washing things and cleaning up and keeping the germs down. In the background, you can see Palmolive. Some people use Dawn. Some people use Ajax. I don't know that Joy is still being sold, but that used to be one of the dishwashing detergents. You can squirt a few drops of that in a 5-gallon bucket. Get yourself a plunger, and you can wash clothes. Now it's going to take you a minute, but at least if you do it enough times, as far as the plunging goes and the agitation, it will get dirt out of those clothes. And you can spray that over some tree limbs or maybe a fence or whatever and dry those clothes. All of that works in a pinch or in a crisis situation or an emergency situation where you're having to do things an old-fashioned way, or do things that may take a little bit longer, but still you're getting the process down and it's going to actually end up being okay. Well, that's all I have to talk about, folks, right now, as far as the affordable prepping supplies. All of the things that we have talked about, from matches to utility lighters and disposable lighters to tea light candles, regular flashlights, small emergency first aid kits and things, garbage bags, bleach, 5-gallon bucket. You can perhaps get one free from your grocery stores, deli or bakery, even a bakery, a standalone bakery. They get a lot of things in 5-gallon buckets, believe it or not. A lot of times they may keep a few of them, but majority of the time they will toss them. A cheap mop bucket at the Dollar Tree or from Dollar General or somewhere on the dollar aisle, or the $2 aisle is called now. I don't know. Over-the-counter pain meds, generic Tylenol to keep down fever and what have you. Neosporin again, or just regular antibiotic ointment. Your basic tools such as tape, rope, a wrench, screwdrivers, or maybe a small tree saw, or maybe a small handheld saw, bungee cord, zip ties, a pocket knife. Those are things that are all relatively still very inexpensive, but at least every household every apartment, every condo owner, every condo renter, every townhouse owner, every townhouse renter, um, mobile home dweller, tiny home owner or dweller or renter or whatever needs to have these things on hand. And I'm not saying that you have to stockpile a whole bunch of things, but at least have your basics on hand to pull from in the event there's an emergency, because emergencies pop off on a daily basis, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You know, because your neighborhood goes without power. Maybe there's a bad power or grid down in that vicinity, that area, and you can't leave. You can't afford to go to the hotel, 5 or 6 miles away. You can't afford that. So you have to basically shelter in place. You can pull from the items that you already have that's available in your home, wherever your home is, whether it be in a van, in a car, in a truck, in an apartment, in a house, on a houseboat, a tiny home, a shed, a garage apartment, a studio apartment, a condominium, a townhouse, a manufactured home, a mobile home. It doesn't matter. Just have some of the basic necessities on hand at all times and you will be okay. I'm not saying that you have to stockpile. Again, this is not a stockpiling video. This is not a hoard these items before they run out. It is about saving money unapologetically, purchasing what you need when you need it, and hopefully purchasing enough of it when it is readily available and at decent prices, and have extra on hand so when and if those prices continue to rise, you are still able to use those items when needed and when necessary in your household without having to continue to run out and purchase those items over and over and over again. In closing, you have been listening to Saving Money Unapologetically with your host, PG, that is me. And we have talked about this evening affordable prepping supplies that you can purchase just about anywhere, from Target to Amazon to Walmart.com to Dollar General to the Dollar Tree stores to the 99-cent stores to Walgreens to CVS to places that are called still that are Rite Aids. Some Rite Aids are still around in different parts of the United States. I mean, it just depends. Some other food chains that I haven't mentioned, look and see. A lot of grocery stores will have a discount dollar aisle or a discounted aisle that'll have an abundance of things, sponges and different things, towels and toothpaste and, all kinds of little things. But if you go and you look thoroughly through the stores that you often frequent or shop at, you will be surprised at what you can find. And a lot of times during the springtime and in the fall of the year, they will get items shipped in that they don't necessarily carry all year, but you are definitely able to pick those items up normally at a decent price. Now, is that going to happen moving forward? I can't tell you that. Are prices going to continue to rise? I can promise you that. So act accordingly. You've been listening to Saving Money Unapologetically with your host, PG. Thank you guys and gals, boys and girls, for tuning in. Please share, please like, and comment on this vlog. Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye now.